Hello, fifth graders. This is Mr. James back with day 2 of your reading. This will be lesson 13. We are going to be finishing Explorers of North America today, so make sure you have your book with you and you're ready to begin. Our enduring understanding continues to be, I forgot to change that. Readers understand that texts can have multiple themes and main ideas. And our essential question is, how do readers determine multiple themes and main ideas in text? So those are the skills we're working on. Our objective today is I can explain how authors support points in a text. So once again, we're talking about that supporting evidence that is going to support their main idea or the point or reason why they're writing. And we'll be working on that as we read through chapters 5 and 6 today. So please make sure that you are following along either in your own text or the text on the screen as we read. I got to flip forward 2 pages here, and then we'll get started. All right, this section today is going to be about a duo that you're probably more familiar with, of Lewis and Clark. So hopefully you know some of this information, but I'm also hoping that some of the information is new to you as you follow along.
Chapter 5, The Core of Discovery. Lewis and Clark discovered 122 kinds of animals, including the grizzly bear. Would you buy something without knowing what it was? That's what the United States did in 1803. President Thomas Jefferson paid France $15 million for 800,000 square miles, 2 million square kilometers, of land. This land was west of the Mississippi River. The team of Lewis and Clark. The land that Jefferson bought in 1803 doubled the size of the United States, but nobody in the United States knew much about the land. Jefferson sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark to explore it. Lewis was Jefferson's personal secretary. He was also an explorer. Clark had served in the army with Lewis. Both men knew how to survive in the wilderness. This drawing from Clark's journal introduced Americans to the white salmon trout, now known as the coho, or silver salmon. Jefferson told Lewis and Clark to travel west to the Pacific Ocean. They were sent to study the people, plants, land, and animals along the way. Jefferson wanted answers to many questions. Was there a river flowing west all the way to the Pacific? How high were the Rocky Mountains? Were the Native Americans friendly? Lewis and Clark formed a group of almost 50 men called the Corps of Discovery. On May 14, 1804, the Corps left St. Louis, Missouri. They began a hard journey on the Missouri River. The men often had to paddle upstream. Sometimes they had to get out and pull their boats. They covered less than 14 miles, 23 kilometers, each day.
That bolded word there is the word core, and it is pronounced core, not corpse. And it is a group of people acting or working together. So we can think of that group. We can also, you may have heard the word the Corps of Engineers. That is a group of engineers that work for the government.
Clark was a terrible speller. In his journal, he spelled mosquito 15 different ways. The men reached present-day North Dakota after several months. They camped there for the winter. 2 people joined the group. One was a Native American woman named Sacagawea. The other was her French husband, Toussaint Charbonneau. The 2 were hired as interpreters. Many different Native American groups lived in the West. Sacagawea and her husband could help speak to them. They also knew the land well, so they could help to guide the explorers. Lewis and Clark reported infinite numbers of prairie dogs on their travels. The prairie dog population has fallen nearly 98% since that time.
Word interpreters is also found in the glossary, and it says people who translate speech from one language to another. Probably a word you're familiar with already.
Reaching the Pacific. By the summer of 1805, the Corps reached Sacagawea's home in present-day Montana. They crossed the Rocky Mountains on horseback. They made dugout canoes and continued along a new river. In November, they finally reached the Pacific Ocean. It was a thrilling moment. Their journey was not over yet. They still had to travel home. That took them another year. The men made it back to St. Louis in September 1806. In 2 years, the Corps of Discovery traveled more than 8,000 miles, 12,875 kilometers. They never found a river running all the way to the Pacific Ocean, but they learned valuable information about the plants, animals, people, and land in the new American territory.
Here's their map that the Corps of Discovery went on. You can see where they began and headed west all the way to Fort Clatsop, which is on the Columbia River.
Exploring the Louisiana Purchase was a major task. This land makes up about 23% of the territory of the United States today. Lewis and Clark ended their journey to the Pacific Ocean at present-day Cape Disappointment in Washington.
We're going to continue reading through the end of the book, through chapter 6 as well.
Chapter 6. Modern Explorers. Less than 5% of the ocean has been explored. Lewis and Clark made their historic trip more than 200 years ago. Since then, people have continued to explore the world. Men and women have climbed tall mountains. They have cut their way through rainforests. Some explorers have even gone into space. Lewis and Clark traveled within 50 miles, 80 kilometers, of what is now Glacier National Park in Montana. Most of the explorers you've read about have been men, but there are many famous female explorers too. In 1940, Barbara Washburn climbed to the top of Alaska's Mount Bertha. She and her climbing partner, her husband, were the first people to ever climb the mountain. And in 1947, Barbara became the first woman to climb to the top of Mount McKinley, the tallest mountain in North America. Exploring plants. One explorer risked her life to study plants. In 1927, Ines Mejia became a botanist or plant scientist. Mejia collected about 145,000 plant samples in her lifetime. She discovered as many as 500 new plant species. Mejia traveled in South America, Central America, and Alaska. One time, she and her team were trapped at the bottom of a deep gorge in Peru for 3 months. Did Mejia panic? No, she was a true explorer. She spent the time searching the sides of the gorge for new plants. Ines Mejia started studying plants in college at the age of 51. She went on her first plant collecting trip to Mexico at the age of 55. New discoveries. When you go exploring, you never know what you will find. Many explorers go looking for one thing. They find something completely different. Christopher Columbus was looking for a sea route. He found a continent instead. Today's explorers search the oceans, outer space, and even parts of the human body. Explorers discover things that excite them. Their discoveries inspire other people to explore. That's what being an explorer is all about. The Amazon rainforest remains largely unexplored. thousands of animal and plant species are waiting to be discovered. True statistics. First European to find the Americas, Leif Erikson, in about the year 1000. Explorer whom America is named after, Amerigo Vespucci. 3 explorers who searched for a city of gold, Hernan Cortés, Francisco Coronado, and Jacques Cartier. Cortés found Aztec people and gold. Coronado found Zuni people. Cartier found Iroquois people, fool's gold, and quartz. Distance Lewis and Clark traveled 8,000 miles, 12,875 kilometers. Cost of supplies for Lewis and Clark's 2-year journey? $2,500. Did you find the truth? Christopher Columbus was the first European to set foot in North America. False. Spanish explorers searched for a city of gold. True.
All right, thanks so much for joining me today. Hopefully you figured out kind of the main idea of our text that we read is that people have explored all over the world and continue to explore today.